Today I wanted to show a short demonstration of my Civil War game that you can download from civilwarengine.com. This is a 2.6 update of it. It has a number of improvements. So I've already set up a save file that has orders already put in and is ready to execute, so we don't have to go through watching me enter orders. I'll demonstrate that in a later video. This one's just to give you a feel for how this game is going to work. I can go up here, select I'm going to be the USA player, and I've set up a situation over here around Nicodemus Hill for the Battle of Antietam, where Doubleday's division is going to try to take Nicodemus Hill. I've got on one flank Doubleday's 2nd Brigade. Over here is their 3rd Brigade. Both of these have already received orders and are in assault posture and are ready to go up here and actually try to take the hills. The 2nd Brigade has already got movement orders that will send them all the way up onto Nicodemus Hill. In front of them are Fitz Lee's Cavalry Brigade, which is a pretty small brigade, which is going to try to stop that. Up on Nicodemus Hill are the horse artillery batteries of Stewart. Over here is the main body of the troops that are going to be opposing this Union attack, Early's Brigade. And it's the one that the Doubleday's 3rd Brigade will be running into. Over towards the center over here is Doubleday's 1st Brigade, but it hasn't received assault orders. So all it's going to do is try to move over a little bit and occupy the attention of these regiments over here and hopefully get enough infantry fire against them that it might achieve something to distract them. So let's just take a look at how this game actually runs. And we can go up here since orders have already been issued for both sides, which is why the two flags are unfurled. I can go ahead and say execute turn, and you'll see they'll start moving. This is a Weebigo system where both sides plot their orders, then they're executed together at the same time. And we'll start seeing some defensive fire going on. And over here is Hayes' Brigade. It's giving a little bit of opposition to the movements over here. And these large purple arrows are indicating where I have melees going on. The Union has moved up in contact and is now trying to drive Fitz Lee off of that hill. And we've already seen 9th Virginia Cavalry fall back. Got another cavalry regiment falling back. Looks like they've broken pretty much all of Fitz Lee's line. But he may have also broken their assault, so we'll have to wait and see if they continue. Okay, we've got 76th New York is continuing. They're doing pretty good. Both their regiments continued. The white arrows you see are marking where infantry fire occurred and artillery fire. I also had the Union artillery moving up onto these small hills to get good positions to support. This game runs in short steps that are about 6 seconds long. So it's a 10-minute turn, so you'll see it go through 100 steps to finish. We've got contact there with Early's. Looks like at least one of their regiments is giving up and falling back. These two have fallen back. Looks like all their attack along this side is falling back now. And a lot of the fighting's broken off. Some retreat still taking place. And now we've reached the end of the turn. This shows where people ended up. Now we can take a look at just what was going on. We'll put ourselves in command mode and take a look at some of these regiments, see how things going. This regiment is in a forced retreat, so it lost its battle and will be probably falling back in the next turn. Over here, the 35th New York took quite a bit of casualties and is being demoralized. It's going into defensive mode, so it can no longer assault. 21st New York, again, it's going to defensive, so it can hold that position, but it can't continue to advance. Our artillery batteries are still limbered. They will be going into line here shortly, but not able to give much support yet. I'd probably be able to give them some fire orders for the next turn. Now, 56 Pennsylvania took quite a bit of casualties with 22 captured, so it must have lost the melee. Strength overall isn't too bad, but it's still hurt its morale, and it's back in defensive mode. 76 New York it took 30 wounded. It must have been in a firefight during that. We can find out more about what actually happened by taking a look at the logs. The red indicates casualties being received by the Union player. The blue indicates casualties they caused to the Confederate player. You'll see on our melee attacks, casualties are usually pretty low until they actually fail, and you'll see a very big jump in the number of casualties, usually representing a whole lot of captures taking place as they break. Fire combat can cause quite a few casualties too. Once you get adjacent to each other and just start shooting into each other, you'll see that jump up. This system is built around creating very sharp, sudden contacts that cause a lot of casualties, and then the two groups break off, which is why you saw this kind of scattering of the troops over here on this flank. Over here where I didn't have an assault order, they were already defensive. 84th New York managed to move up quite a bit to get in close and provide fire support for the attack, but it can't actually close in a melee. There were other things going on as well. Over to the far right, where I am, the Union was also making some movements, but not attacks, to occupy the East Wood and the cornfield with Meade's division. Also, Ricketts' division is moving up into this area. Since we weren't on that view when we were doing the initial playthrough, we didn't see what was going on here, but there's a replay which allows you to go back and take a look at what these troops were doing. These had already moved into the cornfield, so mostly I had them targeted to move up to this fence line. Confederates are kind of scattered through here. It doesn't look like there are any in here, but there probably are. And we had Hayes' brigade over here doing a little bit of long-range fire, but it isn't very effective. I'll take a look at that in a minute to see if they actually did any damage. If we move down just a little bit, we can see how these Confederates are spread out here. One of the things I implemented was the ability to be prone, and most of the Confederates in this area in the early morning were deployed that way rather than standing up being targets. If the Union gets close enough, they'll stand up and fire. Yeah, replays up to this step 69, so we got a little bit longer to wait. As you can see, the Union has massed a large number of troops over here. They just haven't been able to give them orders that would allow them to assault. And that's part of my command system that controls that, which I'll demonstrate in a separate video. Let's see who they're shooting at over here, and we'll take a look to see if they did any damage. These hexes are about 50-yard range, so they're firing at almost 300 yards across here, so they aren't going to do much. Hopefully it'll fire. No, it ended up. Let's take a look at this. I think you were firing at this one. He's got 8 wounded, 6 kills, so he suffered a little damage, but I think some of that was done earlier in a previous turn. I don't think anyone was shooting at the 9th Indiana. Yeah, he's full strength. So basically, that's the way the game works. You plot a move, you don't necessarily get the move you wanted. Some of these guns had moved up. They're now deployed so they can fire. The next turn I would probably be setting these up for targeting over here. Bring a little fire on Hayes' troops. You just plot a move by a fire by right-clicking over on where you want to shoot. These guns are deployed, but they're quite a ways away from it. If you take a look at how far they can see, very little. Doesn't look like they have any targets. The cornfield blocks most of their fire, even though they're on an elevation. One of the things this game has is something like the cornfield has partial visibility. You can see 2 hexes through it, but you can't see 3 hexes through it. Also, it's what I call active terrain. It can be destroyed over time as fighting occurs in it, in which case it'll become like clear terrain. This battery over here, also no good targets. So these are more in support positions. If something goes wrong, then the Union player has something to fall back on. The other thing in here is fog of war. They can see some troops. It's hard to tell if they're seeing most of them or not. If you look back in here, it doesn't look like anything's there. But if we switch player sides, we find that there's a lot back here. We have Hood's division over here in the West Woods. We have the battery position of Parker's battery. This is Lee's battalion over here, lined across the Dunkard Church and over. Got a number of brigades back in here supporting. You've got the Iron Brigade, and over here we have Jones's brigade covering this area in here. There's some guns that are probably placed too far forward. Back in the West Wood, the Louisiana regiments are waiting. So there's going to be quite a fight going on here eventually. I'm in the preliminaries of really getting Antietam set up, so I haven't gotten any further than setting up Hooker's attack, but there are other troops about. If we go over here and see if we can find them. I believe the 12th Corps is out there hiding somewhere. I just don't remember where they are. Oh, I'm the Confederate, so I can't see them. But if I go down into over this side, I can see what I can of the Union. I know they're on the move. I can see the ones in the cornfield. And since I'm the Confederate, I can go look at my potential reinforcements over here west of Antietam, the city itself, with Lee's headquarters and the two divisions. I think that's McLaw's, and I forget who the other. We've got McLaw's division over here, and we have Anderson's division. But both of these are fixed, so they're no use for the initial battle. They'll be implemented later when I start getting into extending the battle towards the Burnside's bridge and start putting those troops in. Anyway, the idea was just to give you a quick demonstration of how this game executes combat. I hope to start posting a couple of more videos showing you how to actually start a battle in this and how to give orders to the various units. And until then, I'll just say goodbye.